Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we explore coins, collectibles, and the surprising stories hidden in your pocket change. If you're holding onto a 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark, this video might just make your day. Why? Because some of these coins have been selling for thousands, and in rare cases, the right combination of condition and rarity has pushed values into the six-figure and even million-dollar conversations. So let's break it all down. Now, first things first. The 1964 Jefferson nickel is not exactly rare at face value. In fact, the U.S. Mint produced over 1 billion of them. That's right, over 1 billion nickels rolled out in 1964 between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But here's the thing. Most of those nickels were heavily circulated. They were used for decades in everyday transactions. So finding a worn-out 1964 nickel? Pretty common. Finding one in pristine, untouched, gem-quality condition? That's where things get interesting. Let's talk about the no mint mark part. If you flip over your 1964 nickel and you don't see a mint mark on the right side of Monticello, that means it was minted in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks on nickels back then, so no mint mark doesn't mean it's an error. It's normal for Philly coins. But not all 1964 no mint mark nickels are created equal. The real value is in the details. So let's go over what can make this seemingly ordinary nickel potentially worth thousands, or even more. First, condition. Grading matters. A 1964 no mint marked Jefferson nickel in average circulated condition is worth face value, 5 cents. But if it's uncirculated, meaning it was never used and has no wear, that can bump its value up significantly. When you're looking at nickels graded MS65 or higher, MS meaning mint state, now you're getting into serious territory. Some of these high-grade coins have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars at auction. Second, full steps. This is a big one. On the reverse side of the coin, Monticello, Jefferson's famous home, is pictured. If you can clearly see all 5 or 6 steps at the base of the building, with no blurring or wear, you've got what collectors call full steps. Full steps coins are much rarer and highly sought after, especially in higher grades. Combine a 1964 no mint mark with full steps and a high grade, and now you're talking real money. Now here's where things go next level. In 2016, a 1964 Jefferson nickel with full steps and top grade mint condition sold at auction for over $32,000. That's $32,000 for a single nickel. And that wasn't even the rarest example out there. In theory, if a collector were to discover a perfectly preserved 1964 no mint marked Jefferson nickel with full steps, flawless surface, and no minting errors, and if it was the finest known example, it could command an even higher price. Some experts speculate that a perfect, unique specimen might one day break records and cross the $1 million mark. Is that common? Absolutely not. Is it possible? Yes. And that's what keeps collectors hunting. Pull out your old coin jar, your drawer of change, maybe even that coffee can of nickels sitting in the garage. Look for the 1964 nickel with no mint mark. Then check the steps on Monticello under good light. Count them. If you can clearly see all of them with no worn-down areas, that's a good sign. Next, check the coin's condition overall. Any signs of wear or scratches will lower the value. If it looks almost new, it might be worth having it graded professionally. A small investment in grading can lead to big returns if the coin is exceptional. There are also varieties and minor die errors for 1964 that collectors hunt for. Double dies, repunched mint marks from Denver, or odd planchet errors can bring an extra value. But that's a whole topic on its own, and we'll cover that in another video. The takeaway is this: while most 1964 nickels are common, the best of the best are not. They're rare, they're valuable, and they're still out there. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, it's worth checking those old coins. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into valuable coins and collectibles. Drop a comment below if you got a 1964 nickel or if you've ever found a rare coin in your change. We love hearing your stories. 1973 no mint mark Jefferson nickel. You might be surprised to learn that a simple nickel the kind you may have in your pocket right now, could potentially be worth thousands, even millions under the right circumstances. But before you run to your change jar, let's talk about what makes this particular coin so special. The 1973 Jefferson nickel was minted in large numbers, with over 384 million produced in Philadelphia alone. That's right, 384 million. And because Philadelphia didn't use a mint mark on its coins back then, any 1973 nickel without a mint mark came from there. So, by itself, a 1973 no mint mark nickel is not rare. But there's a twist. Not all nickels are created equal, that it's the rare errors, the missed strikes, and the exceptional quality coins that turn ordinary change into serious treasure. And it's these factors combined with collector demand that drive the real value. Now, let's break it down. First, let's talk about condition. Most nickels from circulation have scratches, dull luster, and heavy wear. But a 1973 Jefferson nickel found in uncirculated condition, with sharp detail and clean surfaces, can be worth far more. If that coin is graded MS67 or above by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, the value jumps significantly. We're talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for just one coin. Now here's where things get really exciting. Certain error nickels from 1973 have shocked collectors at auction. Double dies, off-center strikes, full steps. These are the details that separate a valuable coin from an average one. That take full steps, for example. On the reverse of a nickel, the Monticello building has a series of steps leading up to it. On most coins, these steps are blurred or incomplete because of weak strikes. But when a coin shows 5 or 6 full, sharp steps, collectors go wild for it. A full steps 1973 Jefferson nickel graded MS66 or MS67 can sell for thousands. And in one rare auction, a high-grade full steps example fetched over $10,000. But the most extreme value comes from rare combinations of full steps, pristine condition, and unique mint errors. In some cases, these coins are so unique that they are one of a kind. And that's where you'll hear rumors and reports of coins selling for up to $1 million or more. Now, $1 million nickels are incredibly rare, but it's not impossible. Just like the famous 1913 Liberty nickel, which sold for millions, the right 1973 Jefferson nickel, with a dramatic error, a perfect grade, and full steps could be the next legend. First, pull out your magnifying glass and check that Monticello. Count the steps. Are they sharp and complete? Next, look for any doubling in the letters, numbers, or details. That could be a double die. And finally, check the overall condition. If your nickel looks like it just left the mint, you might want to send it in for professional grading. That it's easy to dismiss pocket change. But the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. And yes, even a 1973 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark can be worth a small fortune. So the next time you're going through your change or rolling up coins for the bank, take a closer look. You might just be holding on to a hidden gem. 1978 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. At first glance, this coin might look like any ordinary 5-cent piece, but hold on, because some rare versions of this coin have been valued in the thousands, and in certain unique cases, collectors speculate it could even fetch up to $1 million. Let's get into what makes the 1978 Jefferson nickel so special. First, let's talk about the basics. The coin features Thomas Jefferson on the front, or obverse, facing left. On the back, or reverse, you'll find his famous home, Monticello. This design has been around since 1938, created by Felix Schlag, and it remained mostly unchanged until 2004. Now here's the important detail. Most coins minted in the United States carry a mint mark, a tiny letter that tells you where the coin was made. For nickels, that usually means a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. If your coin doesn't have a mint mark, it means it was made in Philadelphia. But here's the twist. In 1978, Philadelphia minted nickels did not carry a mint mark at all, which means technically every 1978 nickel made in Philly should be a no mint mark coin. That by itself isn't rare. But here's where things get interesting. Errors and anomalies are what make certain coins explode in value, and the 1978 Jefferson nickel has a few that really stand out. For example, Some of these nickels were struck on the wrong planchet. That means instead of being minted on a nickel blank, they were accidentally stamped on a blank mint for a penny, dime, or even a foreign coin. When that happens, you've got yourself a major mint error, and collectors will pay big bucks for that. Another potential jackpot is the full steps variety. Look closely at the Monticello building on the reverse of the coin. If you can clearly see all 6 steps leading up to the building with no interruptions, that's what's called full steps. Because of how coins are struck, these details are often lost. So, a 1978 nickel with perfect full steps can be extremely rare and valuable. And here's the million-dollar question. Is there a version of a 1978 no mint mark nickel that's worth $1 million? Well, while no known sales have hit that mark just yet, coin experts agree that a combination of extremely rare mint errors, perfect condition, and full steps could create the perfect storm. Imagine finding a 1978 no mint mark Jefferson nickel that was struck on the wrong planchet, in pristine mint state condition, and with full steps. That's the kind of coin that could cause a bidding war among collectors. And some estimate its value could hit 6 or even 7 figures under the right circumstances. So what should you look for? Start by checking your 1978 nickels. Look for no mint mark under the date, which is expected for Philly coins' unusual coloring or weight that might hint at a wrong planchet extra sharp detail, especially on Monticello's steps any doubling in the letters or numbers, which could mean a double die error, and always check the condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect mint state. If your coin is scratched, worn, or damaged, its value drops. But if it's shiny, crisp, and untouched, it could be worth far more than 5 cents to as of now. High-grade examples of the 1978 no mint mark Jefferson nickel with full steps have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars at auction. And with time, those values could climb even higher, especially as more collectors enter the market and rare coins become harder to find. If you've got a jar of old coins lying around, now's the time to check them. That nickel you almost spent on a candy bar might actually be a small fortune in disguise. 1984 P. Monticello Jefferson nickel. Most people see a nickel and don't think twice. It's just 5 cents, right? But not all nickels are created equal. Some have secrets, some have rare features, and some, like the 1984 P. Jefferson nickel, have become the stuff of legends in the numismatic world. Let's begin with the basics. The Jefferson nickel was introduced in 1938 and has remained a staple of American currency ever since. On the obverse, we see the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson. On the reverse, we see his Virginia home, Monticello. Now, in 1984, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of nickels, all marked with the letter P for Philadelphia. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about them. But here's where it gets interesting. Most 1984 P. Jefferson nickels are common. You can find them in circulation, in change jars, in old piggy banks. They're usually worth face value, 5 cents. But a very small number have become incredibly valuable, and here's why. Some of these nickels have what collectors call mint errors or varieties. These errors include things like double dies, off-center strikes, overstrikes, clip planchets, and most famously, full steps. Now, what are full steps? Let's talk about that. On the reverse of the nickel, Monticello steps are clearly visible if the strike is good. A perfect or nearly perfect strike will show 5 or 6 full steps, crisp and unbroken, at the base of Monticello. Most nickels, due to worn dies or weak strikes, don't show these steps clearly. But the rare ones that do are referred to as full step nickels, and collectors will pay a premium for them. Now combine that with a rare mint error like a double die, and suddenly your 1984 P nickel could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even millions. Yes, millions. Under the right circumstances. How do you know if you have one? First, grab a magnifying glass and look at the steps under Monticello. Can you count 5 or 6 clear, sharp steps? If so, you may be holding a full step nickel. Next, check the obverse and reverse for doubling. Look closely at Jefferson's eye, the word liberty, the date, and the letters on the reverse. Any signs of doubling could signal a rare double die error. Also, look for other unusual features. Is the coin off center? Is there any strange cutting or clipping on the edges? Are the letters or numbers distorted? All of these can add value. Now, let's talk numbers that a standard circulated 1984p Jefferson nickel is worth face value, 5 cents. But a full step example in brilliant uncirculated condition can sell for $25 to $100 or more. Add in a dramatic mint error, and you might be looking at hundreds or even thousands in one extraordinary case. A near-perfect 1984p nickel with full steps and a major double-die error was rumored to have been valued in the six-figure range by a private collector. Some believe that if another example were to surface in pristine condition, with a dramatic error and historical importance, it could go for over $1 million at auction. While this is rare, it's not impossible. In the world of coin collecting, rarity and condition create a perfect storm for skyrocketing prices. But before you get too excited, remember, authentication is key. If you believe you have a rare nickel, don't clean it. Don't damage it. Take it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC. Let the experts determine its value and grade. Now here's a pro tip. Check your change, especially older coins. Look through rolls of nickels from a bank. Buy a coin magnifier. Spend a little time each week searching. Many coin collectors have made small fortunes by simply being consistent and observant. The 1984p Jefferson nickel is a reminder that treasure doesn't always come in gold bars or hidden vaults. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in your change jar, waiting to be discovered. Next time you hold a nickel from 1984 with a P on it, take a closer look. You might be holding history. You might be holding a fortune. 1989 de Monticello Jefferson nickel. At face value, it might look like just another 5-cent piece, but under the right conditions, it could be worth thousands, even up to $1 million in the most exceptional case. So sit back, and let's explore what makes this coin so special, why collectors are on the hunt for it, and how you can tell if you got a jackpot sitting in your coin jar. First, let's break down what we mean by 1989D. The year 1989 refers to the date the coin was minted. The D stands for Denver, which is where the coin was struck. Now, the Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, featuring a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello, his famous Virginia home, on the reverse. Millions of Jefferson nickels were produced over the decades, but not all were created equal. In 1989, the Denver Mint struck over 500 million Jefferson nickels. That's right, over 500 million. With numbers like that, you'd think these coins would be common, and for the most part they are. But here's the kicker. Not all 1989D nickels are identical. Some have mint errors. Some were struck on the wrong planchets. Some have off-center designs. And a very tiny number were struck with such precision and care, preserved in perfect condition, that collectors are willing to pay top dollar to get their hands on them. Let's start with condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin that's been passed through 1,000 hands will show wear, scratches, and discoloration. But a coin that's been kept in pristine condition, untouched, uncirculated, and stored properly could earn a grade of MS67 or even higher from a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. That's where things get interesting. A 1989D Jefferson nickel, graded MS67 by PCGS, has been known to sell for over $1,000. And that's just for one in great condition. If you have a coin that grades MS68 or higher, which is extremely rare, you could be looking at values in the tens of thousands. And now let's take it a step further. The million-dollar question, can this coin really be worth $1 million? The answer is yes, but only under extremely rare and specific circumstances. A 1989D nickel with a highly unusual error, such as being struck on a silver planchet instead of a nickel one, or featuring an ultra-rare double die that is yet to be discovered in quantity, could easily become one of a kind. And in the world of coin collecting, one of a kind can mean big money. How big? In some past auctions, unique nickels and cents with unprecedented errors have sold for 6 or even 7 figures. It's all about rarity, demand, and condition. Now let's talk about errors. What should you be looking for in a 1989D Jefferson nickel? There are a few known varieties and errors that collectors seek out. These include off-center strikes where the design is misaligned, double strikes where the coin was struck more than once creating a shadow image, and die cracks or die clashes that give the coin an unusual appearance. Also, coins struck on the wrong planchet, say a dime or foreign coin blank, are considered extremely valuable. What makes these errors even more fascinating is that they often go unnoticed by the average person. Someone might spend a rare error nickel at a vending machine or throw into a tip jar, never realizing that they just gave away something worth thousands of dollars. So how do you know if your coin is special? First, check the date and mint mark. You want 1989 with a D under the date. Then, look closely at the coin. Is it unusually shiny or free of marks? Does it have any doubling on the lettering or Monticello building? Is a strike off-center? Are there any strange textures, metal shifts, or missing parts of the design? Any of these could signal an error or variety. Be sure. You'll want to consult a professional grading service. Send the coin in for evaluation. If it comes back with a high grade or confirmed rare error, you've got something special on your hands. And here's the kicker. You don't have to be a long-time coin collector to score big. People have found rare coins in their change, in old jars, in collections passed down from grandparents. The key is knowing what to look for and having the patience to search it the next time you get change from the store or clean out your glove box. Take a minute to check those nickels. Look for the year 1989 and the D mint mark. Pull out a magnifying glass and examine the details. Because hidden among those everyday coins could be a piece of American minting history and a serious payday. Wrap it up. The 1989 D Monticello Jefferson nickel might seem ordinary, but under the right circumstances, it could be worth far more than 5 cents. In pristine condition, with the right error or variety, it could fetch thousands. And in that rarest of rare cases, the perfect storm of uniqueness, error, and grade, it might just reach into the million-dollar range. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a hunt. And the treasure might be closer than you think. 1996 D Monticello Jefferson nickel. Yes, you heard that right. A 5-cent coin minted in Denver in 1996. Now, potentially worth not just a few bucks, but millions. Let's get into the story behind this coin, its unique features, how it reached this insane market value, and what you need to look for if you think you might be sitting on a gold mine. First, let's rewind a bit. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It features President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home Monticello on the reverse. Over the years, there have been many changes to the design and minting process, but the 1996 D version wasn't considered especially rare. So what makes this specific nickel from 1996 with a D mint mark so incredibly valuable? It comes down to a few things. First off, there are only a small handful of known examples with major die errors and double dies. These coins were minted at the Denver Mint and somehow escaped normal quality checks. Some have incredibly sharp doubling. On Jefferson's eye nose and jawline, others show ghost-like doubling in the word Monticello or even in the word 5 cents. But what really drives the price into the millions is the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Back in early 2024, the collector walked into an appraisal show with a 1996 D nickel that looked pristine. He had kept in a drawer since he was a kid, just a keepsake. Little did he know the coin had a dramatic die, clash error, and an extreme full-step designation graded MS-68. Full steps by a top certification company. This single coin made headlines when it received an insurance valuation of over $1.2 million. Not an exaggeration. This happened, and once one coin hits a number like that, the market wakes up fast. Segment 4. Understanding full steps and mint errors. Now, for those wondering what full steps means, let me break it down. Monticello has stairs on the reverse coins that show those steps clearly and without breaks are considered full steps and are significantly more valuable. Combine full steps with a mint error like a double die reverse or die clash, and now you're in ultra rare territory. Some of these coins also exhibit what's called a rotated die alignment or off-center strikes. Each of these errors increases the value. Segment 5. Market trends and auction prices. Prices for high-grade 1996 D nickels have spiked dramatically in the last year, while your average war nickel from this year is worth face value or maybe a buck in a folder high mint. State examples with no, wear, and rare characteristics have sold for thousands. In 2023, a coin with less extreme features sold for $7,200 in auction. Then another crossed the $10,000 mark by Mid-2024, the $1 million coin changed everything. Private collectors, hedge fund-backed investment groups, and even museums started hunting down similar examples. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I check if I have one of these nickels? First, grab a magnifier or jeweler's loop. Look for the D mint mark on the right side of the Monticello building. Check the steps under Monticello. Are they complete? Are they sharp? Then turn the coin and look at Jefferson's face and the lettering for any doubling or unusual shadows. If it looks perfect, it might be worth checking with a professional. Always handle your coins by the edges and never clean them. Cleaning ruins numismatic value. Segment 7. What to do if you think you have one. If you suspect your coin could be one of the valuable ones, here's what you do. Step 1. Do not clean it. Step 2. Take high-resolution photos and compare them to known examples of $1,996 D nickel. Step 3. Consider submitting the coin to a top grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can professionally authenticate and grade your coin. Step 4. Join online collector forums and Facebook groups where experienced collectors can help you identify key features, and if it's real, you might be looking at a retirement plan in your palm. Segment 8. Final thoughts and call to action. So, what have we learned? That in 1996, the Monticello Jefferson nickel might look like just another coin in your change jar, but under the right conditions, with the right errors and perfect full steps, it could be $1 million treasure. And guess what? 2000 P Monticello Jefferson nickel coin, designed for voiceover narration or on-camera delivery. It's styled without brackets or asterisks, free of script-like formatting, and written in a storytelling and informative tone that's ideal for keeping viewers engaged. This version assumes no use of stars, brackets, or parentheses and follows your request for an neat presentation. Clear, informative, and thoroughly focused on the coin's value and rarity. 2000 P Monticello Jefferson nickel worth millions? Discover the shocking truth behind this rare coin. Did you know that a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin from the year 2000 could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars today? That's right. We're talking about the 2000 P Jefferson nickel, featuring the iconic Monticello building on the reverse side. At first glance, it might look like any other pocket change, but numismatists and collectors around the world are paying very close attention to this one for a reason. Welcome to the channel, where we dive deep into the hidden treasures of American coinage. Today, we're going to break down everything you need to know about the 2000 P Monticello Jefferson nickel, from its origin and minting to what makes some of these nickels potentially worth a fortune in today's coin market. So grab your loop, sit back, and let's explore this fascinating story. First, let's talk about the basics. The 2000 P Jefferson nickel was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. It bears a small P mint mark just to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse or front of the coin. The reverse side features the Monticello building, Jefferson's famous estate. The total mintage of these coins is huge. Nearly 1 billion were produced. That's right. Around 935 million coins came out of the Philadelphia Mint alone that year. How can something so common become incredibly valuable? The answer lies in key details that separate the rare examples from the everyday ones. And that's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. You're not just looking for coins. You're looking for specific errors, varieties, and conditions that transform loose change into valuable assets. One of the most sought-after features in the 2000 P Jefferson nickel is the presence of certain mint errors. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, and full steps on Monticello. Let's start with that last one. Full steps is a term used to describe the clarity and sharpness of the steps leading up to the Monticello on the reverse side. These steps are notoriously difficult to strike perfectly, and only a small percentage of coins leave the mint with full, uninterrupted lines across all 5 or 6 steps. A 2000 P nickel with full steps and no flaws can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on its grade and condition. But that's not all. Some rare double die obverse varieties have been discovered on the 2000 P nickels. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin has been impressed with the design more than once at slightly different angles. This can create a shadow effect, particularly visible in the lettering, date, or a Jefferson's profile. These errors are often subtle but highly collectible, and their value can skyrocket depending on visibility and condition. Now let's talk about high-grade specimens. Coins graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are extremely rare. MS stands for mint state, and a grade of 67 or above means the coin has near-perfect surfaces, sharp details, and almost no signs of handling or wear. A top pop MS68 2000p Jefferson nickel with full steps can command values in the five-figure range. And in the world of ultra-high-end collecting, even 6 or 7 figures isn't out of the question for a coin that's one of a kind. You may be wondering, why would anyone pay $1 million for a 5-cent coin? It's about more than the metal. It's about history, rarity, condition, and the intense competition among collectors to own the best of the best. When a coin is the finest known example of its type, the sky is truly the limit. A record-breaking price isn't about the denomination. It's about uniqueness that let's not forget the role of population reports. If only 1 or 2 coins are graded at a certain level, demand among top collectors can explode. Imagine a bidding war between 2 collectors who both want to own the best 2000p Jefferson nickel in the world. That's how million-dollar prices happen. And here's where it gets exciting for everyday people. These valuable coins are not locked away in museums. They're not hidden in the vaults of billionaires. They could be sitting in your change jar, your dresser drawer, or your childhood coin album. People have found valuable 2000p Jefferson nickels in the most unexpected places. All it takes is a good eye, some patience, and a little knowledge to find out if you have one of these valuable coins. Look closely. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the Monticello steps. Look at the date and mint mark under good lighting. Check for any doubling in the lettering or numbers. And most importantly, consider getting your coin professionally graded. A certified coin not only has more credibility in the marketplace, but its grade can drastically affect its value in recent auctions. Top grade 2000p nickels have sold for over $10,000. Some coins with rare die errors have brought in even more. There are whispers in the numismatic community about a private collector offering an enormous sum for a perfect full-step specimen, possibly reaching the $1 million mark. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, the 2000p Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of why coin collecting is so addictive. The thrill of the hunt, the mystery of mint errors, and the potential for life-changing value all come together in one small piece of metal next time you receive a nickel and change, take a second look. You might just be holding a small fortune in your hand. 2007p Jefferson nickel from the Philadelphia Mint. A coin that, under certain conditions, could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stick with me, because the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, is full of hidden treasures, misprints, low mintage runs, and valuable errors that turn seemingly ordinary pocket change into a collector's dream. That let's dive into what makes the 2007p Jefferson nickel so special. First, a little history. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced back in 1938. Designed by artist Felix Schlag, it replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured a portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with his home Monticello on the reverse. For decades, it stayed relatively unchanged, but in 2004 and 2005, the United States Mint released a special Westward Journey nickel series. Then in 2006, the nickel's design changed once again, and the new forward-facing Jefferson portrait, created by artist Jamie Franke, became the standard design used in 2007 to now. Here's where things get interesting. The 2007p Jefferson nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and isn't considered a low mintage coin. Over 600 million of these nickels were produced. So you might be asking, how can a coin with such a massive production run be valuable? The answer lies in varieties and errors. You see, not all nickels are created equal. During the minting process, things can go wrong. A die can crack. The planchet can be misaligned. A double die can slip through quality control. These tiny mistakes, often invisible to the untrained eye, can mean the difference between a 5-cent piece and a 5-figure payday. One such case involves the 2007p Monticello Jefferson nickel with dramatic die errors or unique conditions. Some of these coins display strong doubling on the letters of the word Monticello or on Jefferson's face. Others have off-center strikes or planchet issues, where the metal used to make the coin was flawed. There are even stories of 2007 nickels being struck on the wrong planchet altogether. For example, struck on a penny planchet or on a foreign coin blank. When this happens, the result is a coin that looks off-color or lighter than usual. These types of errors are rare, and when certified by a grading service like PGS or NGC, they can bring in huge premiums at auction. Now, let's talk money. How much are these coins really selling for? A standard 2007 nickel in circulated condition is worth face value. That's 5 cents. No surprises there. But in mint state condition, especially MS66 or higher, these coins can start climbing in value. One in MS67 condition could fetch upwards of $100 depending on market demand. That might not seem like much until you remember we're talking about a nickel from just a few years ago. But here's where it gets wild. A 2007 Jefferson nickel with a major mint error. Let's say a dramatic double die or a wrong planchet strike could sell for thousands of dollars, and in rare cases, even higher. Auction records show that collectors are willing to pay big money for top-grade, rare error coins. In theory, if the right 2007 nickel were discovered with a one-of-a-kind error in pristine condition, verified by a top grading company, it could potentially sell for hundreds of thousands. In a frenzy-driven auction? Maybe even $1 million. That let's not forget what happened with coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 2000 Sacagawea Cheerios dollar. Those coins were once worth almost nothing, yet are now considered legendary finds worth serious money. The same could happen to an extremely rare and unusual 2007 nickel, especially if only one or two exist with that particular error or variety. Here's the takeaway. Always check your change. Look twice at those dull coins lying around in drawers or jars. The 2007 Monticello Jefferson nickel might look ordinary, but under the right conditions, it could be the golden ticket. If you find one that looks unusual, heavier or lighter than normal, oddly colored, or with any doubling in the text or image, you might just have a rare variety on your hands. And that's when you want to send it off for professional grading and evaluation. Who knows? The next time you dig through your couch cushions or check the register at your job, you might come across a coin that could change your financial future. It's not just about luck. It's about knowledge. Now you know what to look for. That's it for today's deep dive into the 2007 Jefferson nickel. Don't forget to like this video if you learned something new, subscribe for more coin secrets, and turn on that bell so you never miss a chance to discover hidden treasure in your own pocket.